Party with your host, Dustin Rybka.
Hello and welcome to Sex Party. I'm your host, Dustin Rybka. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached a milestone moment here with this episode on Sex Party. The person that is my guest this week is someone who I've wanted on the show before I even had a show for them to be on. They were at the top of the list when I conceived of this podcast. She is a legend in the adult industry. She has had a profound impact on the adult industry, but also pop culture in general. She is the face behind some of the most classic memes out there on the internet. She is Tori Black, and she is here with me this week on Sex Party. Tori has sex in a way that is so intense, yet so real, so vulnerable, yet so powerful. We're going to dive into what that is and where that comes from. We also talk about her classic scenes. She had a classic scene with Adria Fox, with Rocco Siffredi. She did Tori Black's first double penetration scene. These scenes are classic in porn, but they're also classic in pop culture almost, because they are such profound scenes and can only have been done in this way by her, in the way that she does things. We talk about anal. We talk about what it feels like to do a double penetration. She talks about why she never did a gangbang. People offering tons and tons and tons of money for her to do one. The time she almost did one and then backed out. She shares an incredibly powerful story about being a mother and being terrified about her kids finding out what she does for a living. And when one of them did, how beautiful it was. This episode is huge. It is awesome. At the end, Tori Black goes to the burner, and I ask her the question, will she ever return to mainstream porn? So without further ado, strap in, pour a drink, and get ready and enjoy my conversation with Tori Black.
This week's conversation.
I can't believe that I'm actually getting ready to say this, but Tori Black, welcome to Sex Party. How are you doing?
Woo, I'm doing fantastic.
Yeah.
How are you this morning?
I'm good. We've had, we discussed before we started recording, I had somehow, there's not even such a thing as a 24-ounce Red Bull, but somehow I had a 24-ounce Red Bull this morning. And by this morning, I mean an hour ago. So we're good to go for this one.
We're solid. I have my little Nespresso, and I did a combo of a coffee and some espresso. I think they call it a red eye.
Oh yeah.
And by the time I got to the end of it, my hands were like, what are you doing?
Why are you trying to kill your body? Yeah.
Man, my dog just had surgery yesterday. No big deal. She's getting older, so she gets like stuff on her skin. So like she just gets little things removed. But she was, they come down from anesthesia and they're tweaking and they're like whining about nothing. Well, we were up in the middle of the night. And so this morning was a little bit of a rough one.
Yeah. So, what I want to do now is what I always do with our guests on the show. I don't know who we is. It's just me here. I don't know. I always say we. It's super weird.
We as a group, as a company.
I don't know. I mean, I have an editor. I think I feel bad taking credit. That we got to get over that. See, I just did it again. Oh my God. Anyway, normally here on Sex Party, I say, for the people that might not know you, da 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 da. But I mean, how can someone not know you? But let's just have fun. Okay. So let's say someone was at a Metallica concert and they were in the pit or something, and they had a head injury. They've been in a coma for 20 years. Right. Or, they suffered some sort of scuba diving accident and they just came out of that. Right. And they don't
syndrome.
Yeah, they don't know who you are. They don't know what you've done and what you do. Could you talk a little bit about who you are, what you do?
Well, I am Tori Black, and I am a semi-retired adult film star. Back in my day, which was a good time ago now, I was the first female to win Female Performer of the Year at AVN 2 years running. I think I was actually the first to win twice in general, but I happened to win it back to back. And it was a huge accolade, of course, and really set my career off. One of my favorite little points of my career was actually being the second youngest cover of Penthouse. And they did not want me on the cover of Penthouse. It's kind of an interesting story. Initially, they denied me because I don't have these guys going on. And Penthouse at the time was very, very blonde, fake boob, or like oriented. That was their MO. And the photographer that I was working with, Emma Nixon, she actually shot me for a Zero Tolerance cover. And she also did photos for Penthouse. So she kind of vouched for me. She went there and said, "This is my cover. And if you don't want to pick her, then you don't get my pictures. You can find another photographer." And that was a huge moment for me. So you could say that I've been, I think, in over 500 movies. And I've traveled the globe. I've been on lots of magazine covers. And I'm very well known for being outspoken about kind of equality in the industry and people treating each other fairly and with respect. And that's kind of what I'm known for behind the scenes. But outside of that, I'm known for being the naughtiest girl next door you'll ever fucking meet.
I mean, well fucking put. And I know from other interviews I've watched with you, you hate this, but I mean, you might as well just get used to it. It's going to be like birthday cake this whole episode. I'm just telling you. But like, she's downplaying it. This woman is in GOAT contention. Okay. She is a legend. I know you hate the word legend, but I mean, I think your impact on the adult industry, I mean, where do we even start, right? But also your impact on like pop culture and internet culture is insane.
I almost forgot about that meme college thing.
Okay, there's a couple memes. So we could go down the meme road right now if you want.
I think the first one that I saw was the one where I was a part of a college presentation about popular culture and social media and the power of a meme. I think they used my face to show that.
Yeah.
They were definitely in shock.
I mean, why wouldn't they? I mean, you have, I think you've contributed more to internet culture than any other porn star, adult star personality ever, because I think you have a handful of memes that are just like, I mean, the one that comes to mind is like, it's like, yeah, well, there's one where it's like all four squares of you, like with your mouth really open, about to take a fucking facial or a cum shot. And it's like, when your girlfriend's hungry, you take her to your favorite restaurant or whatever. And
when you show her your meme collection.
Exactly. And it's so meta with you. It's like a meme within an inside joke. And no other porn star has that. So you guys, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, I mean, you guys already know that's why you're here. But this woman's the GOAT. Okay, let's just get it out of the way. We're gonna keep fucking saying it. We're gonna keep making her uncomfortable. She's Tori fucking Black.
It's hard. It's hard for me to. I mean, I look at myself in the mirror every day. I've grown up with this, so it's really hard to change that mindset and see what you see.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just don't think it's ever going to be more comfortable for me to hear stuff like that. I think it's just one of those things like, I just did what I did.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's the way that you did it, I believe. And in the way that you sort of open the door for other people to do it, which is, I mean, you can't find that in all the adult industry stuff that was going on when you were like really doing mainstream. You can't find that today still. I mean, there's some people that wouldn't be in the adult industry at all if it wasn't for what you did in your work. So
I actually have heard that from a few females themselves who come and they talk to me about their experience with looking at or contemplating getting into the industry. And sometimes I wonder if that was for the best, or does that mean that if something goes wrong, like we look back and say, well, she made it look awesome. But yeah. I try to stay positive, and I'm grateful that I am a positive memory in a lot of people's minds. The experience that I had with a lot of girls in the industry. And that is definitely a big deal. I do know that I was a huge proponent in defending girls and demanding respect in our industry. That was a big deal for me.
Well, let's take that point and talk about it a little bit, because I think, again, you know, we can go from memes to fucking policy changes in the industry because you've done all this, and that's what I think puts you in that fucking MJ23 category is exactly right, is because you did it. You did all of that. Like, you were someone who could be absolutely like raunchy, fun, filthy, come this, come that, whatever, vulnerable yet powerful, and also be advocating for rights and for permissions and stuff that other people weren't. So at what point in your career were you like, this is fucked up, I'm going to say something? And then it turned into you sort of pushing against these, because I think porn has changed a lot, question mark, in the last 10, 15 years.
Oh, it's changed a huge deal.
And you're part of that.
I think that it's probably more than like, this is a great opportunity for people outside the industry to understand how big the changes have been. So I don't know if there was like a specific moment where I decided. It was kind of case by case. I have this thing where I'm not very good at not speaking my mind. So I don't think there was ever a moment that I felt like certain things could not be approached. And it started, the first issue was me coming into the industry. There was a stigma around white girls working with specifically Black men. And the only thing they ever called interracial was it had to be white and Black. And I thought that was so bizarre to me. I was like, interracial could mean so many things. Sometimes you don't even see the difference. People could look like they're the same, but they're not. So this isn't even, there were so many questions and so many issues I had with it. Not to mention, sorry, my light keeps going in and out. Not to mention, there was a pay change based on the color of the skin of the person that you were working with. And I thought this is so outdated. And how are we going to be an industry that demands and expects respect from the outside mainstream world? How are we going to demand respect and then be racist? And then I had people saying, it's not racist, it's business. As soon as you do certain things, you're going to lose out on other filming opportunities. And I was like, so once I've had a Black penis, I can't go back? Is that what you're telling me? Because this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And so that was the first. And that was pretty much at the beginning of my career, because I was arguing with my agent at the time. And I wouldn't necessarily say, because everyone, once I say my agent, you know who I'm talking about. I wouldn't necessarily say it was just him, because I think it was an industry-wide theory. And so I think that he was just moving with the status quo. And I brought up some very, very good examples of successful women who came into the industry immediately doing interracial. Jenna Hayes, Brie Olson, two really great names. And they came in not only doing interracial, but also anal. And that was another thing. So obviously jumping subjects, but as soon as you did anal, you were considered to be on the way out, as if you have to build up to that and only give it to them, once the money is right and your career is at a high enough place and you're starting to wane and you need to give them something new. Interesting theory. I don't agree with it at all. As soon as you're an engaging, enticing performer, I don't think it matters what you choose to do. People are going to want to watch, Yeah. It's like saying let's just say Christian Bale, for example, is one of my favorite actors. I think he's got a lot of depth, right? Let's say he dives into a really deep role, like, what is the movie I'm thinking of where he goes really gaunt?
The Machinist.
Insomniac.
The Machinist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's just say that he goes all in, which he did on that movie. You're going to tell me he can't backtrack and do a lighthearted movie after that? Because now we're expecting him to be that every time? I don't think that's fair. So I just don't agree that you have to pigeonhole people based on the depth of a certain performance.
Yeah, well, I mean, incredible point, because they do that to all fucking artists. I mean, look at Andy Warhol. They were like, "Fuck you," you know what I mean, or whatever. I mean, anybody, and you're an artist, whether whatever. Every adult performer. I mean, how can you not be an artist in another timeline?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in another fucking timeline, there's statues of you guys somewhere. You know what I mean? Because you guys, I mean, on a good day, people are headed to fucking your OnlyFans and Pornhub. On a bad day, they're headed to OnlyFans and Pornhub. You know what I mean? Like, there's such an art form that goes into this stuff that, I mean, the lights, the fucking, whether you're doing it in your spare room or you're doing it on a set, it is art. And I think that there is this narrative that if you're one thing, you can't be another. And I think that is so powerful, and it goes across all mediums.
Yes. And it's very stifling. And a matter of fact, it's discrediting to the human race, right? That pigeonholes all artists into not only one category, but subcategories. You could say, well, once your painting is abstract, how are you going to go back to realism? All your fans want you to be abstract, or vice versa. And I just feel like if an artist caters to the fans in that way, changes their craft or changes their spectrum of performance based on what fans expect, you're going to lose the entire creative process. So while I have respect and appreciate and love my fans, I can't be me for you. I have to be me for me. And I hope that you enjoy it. I appreciate the support, but I can't change me for you. And that's it. And that's all. It's a pretty basic statement. But when you look at it as a career point, there's a lot of people who entirely disagree. And I had to fight a lot of people, based on what I believed and I guess the weather, the climate of the industry that I was in at the time. It was very much, you get in, you start with solo, where all you do is solo. You whet the appetites, right? And then you go to girl, and then you go to boy, and then you go to anal, and then you go to two people. It's like and I was like, that's exactly how human process goes, right? We just go one to the next, to the next, to the next. It didn't make any sense to me.
Okay, so what did you do? How did you immediately challenge that? Were you on the phone with your agent, like, I want to do an anal scene now, I don't care, or I want to do, or whatever? Like, how did you push back?
So I pushed back as far as the racism part was concerned.
Okay.
I personally was not as ready for anal as a lot of girls that I knew were. However, a lot of those girls that were ready were my friends. And so my theory kind of crossed into multiple people's issue, where I would go and I would say, you're my agent. It's not your job to say what kind of role I'm allowed to take or not take. If you do not want to represent me the way I want to be represented, there are other agencies that will literally just offer me anything that comes to the table and let me decide. And so I think that while there was an element of steering that was happening through my agency, and some of it was positive, I think that it needed a correction in that I'm not only the commodity, I'm also a person. So while he still had vision and goals, and I think that a lot of them were correct, I think that it needed adjustment. And I was really bullheaded about the adjustments that needed to be made. And I think a lot of my girlfriends benefited from that. They would come up, they would say, I looked at him and I said, Tori gets to do what she wants.
It's the fucking,
I love that.
Yeah.
Example. Yeah, she gets to do what she wants. Why can't I? I'm like, you can. Exactly.
Well, yeah, the fucking Tori Black effect. I love that. That's incredible. So when you look at the industry now, you said semi-retired, and we're going to get to that in a second, but you look at the industry now, and can you see the changes that you helped push?
Well, first of all, I can't say that I helped make the internet because I
can.
I think that I once actually interviewed one of the founders of YouPorn, and it was probably one of the most fascinating interviews that I've done. And we were talking about the concept of the search bar and how that changed porn forever. Because what it did was it gave everyone an insight into deep desires and fantasies. And obviously, we've got a good set of ones that we know that people are looking for. But it was the subcategories. It was the niche categories that weren't being fulfilled. So the amount of people that were searching up massage, and nobody was filming massages. So all of a sudden, there's this huge open area for people to make a shit ton of money because it's unfulfilled desire. So just having the search bar gives us the knowledge about how many people are searching for what, who's unfulfilled. And those people are willing to go head first. So all of a sudden, we're seeing new kinds of companies pop up. But not only that, I remember the switch between having a girl's website. Like my site was $29.99 a month, right? And so, you could go and you could pick a studio's website and you could have a subscription for similar price. I was one of the first girls to go and say, I want you to sell my website for $1 every month. And I was looking at the apps on cell phones and thinking to myself, in-app purchases are where it's at. You don't get it with the subscription cost, right? But that's an entire business shift. That has nothing to do with the performance. That's just business. And I think the way the internet was developing, the search bar was happening, and the switch in pay for sites to free sites where you can pay for additional content that you select for a smaller price as opposed to buying big bundle. I think all of that just set up OnlyFans and single performer platforms. Just like, let me give you a boost up.
Right.
So now, instead of the companies having the power, the girls and the performers, because guys do it too, the performers have all the power. Because as soon as I know that I can go onto this site, girls used to feel like they were in power when they had their own website. And the problem was you were still subjected to whatever company, which is usually owned by the big studio, whatever company is running your site. So you were still underneath that umbrella, even though it looked like you were subscribing to the girl. It was browsers. It was whoever else it was that owned your website that was helping push you. And so you kind of had to stay within your contract. And so I just think that there's so many shifts happening at the same time. We went from a company-led industry to an artist-led industry, and it changed everything forever in a very, very great way. And I think that I might have had my little contribution to it, but I think there were so many factors at play that it was like a beautiful merge and like a launch for so many people to finally kind of be free of expectations. Like you get to do what you want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then we had, when I was in the industry, I still remember everyone talks about boundaries and female rights and male rights and consent and this, that, and the other thing. I still remember being pressured to do all sorts of outlandish things. And I was being told things like, well, if you don't start doing things like this, you're going to become obsolete. So not only was I going too fast for some people, but now I'm going too slow for other people. And I'm like, really?
Yeah. Make it make sense, right?
I'm not taking 2 dicks in my ass. It's never going to happen.
Right.
For my females out there who like that, for my males out there who like that, good on you, but I don't. And how are you going to sit there and tell me that if I don't do that, I'm going to be obsolete? I'm like, if I do that, you're going to see in this face that cannot keep her mouth shut that I hate it. You're going to see that I hate it. And I don't want to put that material out there. I don't want to put myself through that, but I also, for my brand's sake, I don't want to advertise me forcing myself through that so that I can get a paycheck.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, right? And you mentioned something you're going to see on this face that I don't like that. And this is another example of your contribution, your legendary status. We're going to call it GOAT status. Going to make you uncomfortable again, right? But you
need a keyboard that has a goat sound. Just
you know what? I'll have the editor put one in just for you. But the thing is like, you were one of the performers that you have this thing that you do when you perform, and you can see it all throughout your career. And I feel like you got better at it as time went on, even, which is like impossible because it's like it thoroughly looks like you are emotionally and even in your OnlyFans content, right? Like you don't look like you're fucking acting. You look like when you're enjoying something, you're really fucking enjoying something. And it's this vulnerability that I think only someone could have who's powerful and, speaks their mind and whatever. But it's this insane vulnerability that comes from power that I have now seeing other performers that are new now sort of replicate that, or they can dive into that place that you dived into. I mean, tell me about that, because you have some of the most intense, just your face and the way you say, like, and just the things you say, and just the just the way that you have sex. I just think you would never have done that if you didn't want to. And so you're doing something you like, and we can all fucking really, really tell. And again, this is the Tori Black effect. So tell me about, like, is that something that was apparent to you? Like, holy shit, I really am enjoying myself. Or was it something that just came out in adult, or what?
Well, I have always been incredibly sensitive in all ways. I am very connected to my body. I'm connected to energy around me. I'm connected to moments. I'm very, I wear my heart on my sleeve. And this has come with a lot of benefits and a lot of negatives. But the blessing in that is that I'm very reactive in the moment. So I can change my energy in the snap of fingers, because when you're on set, there's so many, it's disjointed, right? You go from taking pictures to doing video, and then you're back to touching up makeup. And so for a lot of people, they're very linear in their emotional process. But for me, I am really good at diving right in and being exactly where I was the moment before. I remember and have emotional recall, physical recall, the same way that I have, I remember what happened yesterday. I can be inside my body and covered in goosebumps. I have even played around with attempting tantric orgasm, which is no touch, because I feel like I'm the type of person that can get myself there in my own mind and in my body without needing any kind of external stimulation. Now, I don't think that that's achievable for everybody. I don't know what it is that made me that way. Maybe I came out a little different. But I think when it comes to performing and making it look real, is because even if the real moment that I was in is not getting me there, this got me there every time. Wherever I needed to go, this got me there. So the combination between me selecting things that I would enjoy in my real life anyway, in that I didn't want to be with too many people at once. Not because I don't think that's gross. I get ADD. I'm like, you all, and dude, I just don't have enough. I don't have enough space, right? And
so Tori Black never did a gangbang because she has ADD.
I don't know if you saw, I'm sure you did. The orgy, the legendary orgy that we did for Tori Black, or not, it's After Dark. After Dark.
Yeah. Was that the one with Anna Fox?
Yeah.
Bingo.
So we did, I think it was 13 people. And it looked like the Last Supper. And I was Jesus. I'm not even playing. Why lighting just keeps going up and down? So
you were Jesus if they were eating Jesus, yeah.
Yeah. Excuse me. And I was really, really uncomfortable going into it. And the only reason that I allowed it was because, first of all, the cast selection was incredible. And if it would have been anyone else, I don't think I would have been able to get through it, mainly because I needed that comfortability. I needed that energy that was going to take me out of there's so many people and just remind me that I'm here with these actual people. It brought me back to being in the moment as opposed to being lost in my head, if that makes sense. And so it was definitely a one-time thing because of the fact that it was just an epic all-star cast. And then the director was Caden Cross, and Caden and I have known each other for a really long time. And she never, ever felt the need to over-direct me. And that was because she knew if she needed to change lighting, if she needed to switch her camera, she would, but she wouldn't expect me to do that for her. So there are a lot of directors that were lazy, and instead of doing their job properly, they would expect you to compensate because they wanted to sit there like this, right? And that's not how it works. So you'll notice that my best scenes not only incorporate, performers that I enjoyed, it also incorporated a team of people that understood how to work with performers or actually cared enough to get off their behinds and move around with the performers. The directors play a huge role as well. They really do.
Yeah, for sure.
I couldn't stand what did I used to call it? The 4x4, where they would have 4 set positions for you. And so you do the 4 on video and the 4 photo. I hated that.
Yeah.
Hated that. They're like, we're going to do these positions for you today. Your body is looking like this today, so we're going to accentuate this part of your body. Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, that's like constricting as hell.
Well, yeah, and it doesn't flow naturally at all. There's no space for being in the moment. Like this conversation right here, if you had your 20 questions lined up and those are the only places we were going, you could miss out on so much great conversation.
Yeah.
Same thing. You could be in the moment and all of a sudden somebody gets an idea of where they want to move or what they want to do. And you just want to cut that out because it doesn't fit into your day. It's like, and this is how you become mediocre.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to get warm. Sorry, I'm like moving my hair out of the way. It's Hawaii.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that the natural response is pretty much based on the fact that I have the ability to physically and emotionally recall in a split second. So I used to act on stage as well, like old school acting, and I could cry on command. I don't know if I could do it now. I probably could. It's a lot heavier now, I think, because there's been so much more life that's existed. So when I was younger, I could touch on something that I thought was sad and cry. But now it's like, for me to touch on that and still have some control is hard. But I could cry on command, which I don't think that's something that everybody can do.
No.
So I think that would be a huge difference in maybe my performance and the performance that people expected from me when I got into the industry. They didn't expect me to be readily available emotionally.
Yeah, I mean, fuck. And the thing is I want to point out that you said before, like, you weren't acting, you were just going to a place that made you feel good, therefore you could feel good visibly, even if the scene was not the greatest thing or whatever. It's not like people who have what you have, the ability to cry, the training as an actor, and even, I mean, I went through a couple of years of like training as an actor and it just didn't work out for me. Okay, so now I'm hosting a podcast, but that takes something, right? And obviously, clearly, you have that access to your pleasure, your emotions, your sensitivity. I mean, what a fucking gorgeous answer. I mean, we get gorgeous answers all the time, but that was a fucking doozy. Okay, Tori Black, you, it's so funny. I just keep saying your name because I'm like, okay, we're interviewing Tori Black right now. So
you just gotta add it.
Yeah. So you didn't do a gangbang. Okay, because now we all know why. The mystery solved, everybody. You're welcome, right?
It was not that I did not want to have a bunch of penises around me, because I do really like them a lot.
Yeah.
My problem is, if I only have so many hands and holes and places and things I can use, I had such a hard time even watching a gangbang scene. Makes me uncomfortable for the guy standing around jerking off.
Yeah.
I'm like, poor baby, are you okay? You okay? You good over there? You're good? It's awkward for me. So people were always like, why you've been with all these guys already. You've been with all the people that we want to book you with. You already know. You're established with them. You should be comfortable. I'm like, yeah, but you're not understanding. It's worse if I have history with them, because I've made them all believe that they're like the best thing since sliced bread. And then when I have them all in a room together, the gig is going to be up.
You're trying not to hurt people's feelings and shit. That's so funny.
Yeah. I mean, but can you imagine my game plan when I go on set, right? No matter who it is you have to seduce your co-star first, and you have to really seduce them. I don't mean like a little bit. You have to seduce them. And I don't mean like in a romantic kind of way. It's got to be total, because you don't want to set the wrong intention for after the scene's done. Because
right.
Been there. But then you have to seduce everyone else on set, because as soon as you seduce the lighting guy, sound too, like you have to really get everyone involved, because otherwise they fall asleep at the wheel. They're just going through the motions. So if you chat with everyone, if you're connected to everyone, if you've changed the energy in the room of your shoot, 100% it's going to translate on camera.
Yeah, I mean, and also like they're gonna come to your fucking rescue and advocate for you if something doesn't, whatever, because now they want the best for you because you were nice to them and you seduced them. I totally understand.
So now imagine all my favorite guys that I've taken my time to seduce, and it's almost like a boyfriend complex, a little like I made you feel like a boyfriend in the moment, but now let's smash them all in a room together, and I'm like, oh God, now you're gonna think I'm playing favorite.
Yeah, that's yeah.
So I just look at it in an entirely different way that I think a lot of my female co-stars do. And they can disconnect from a lot of the things that I'm saying, or they don't even have that process pop up for them. But that is the only reason that was not on the table for me. The 2 dicks in my asshole, that just does not sound appealing to me.
Sure.
At all.
Yeah.
That's why I've never done that.
Yeah, I mean, and some people dig that, like you said, and cool for them, but some people don't. I mean, some people don't like jerking off to it. Some people don't, whatever, and to each their own, and we love that.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, were you offered like a god awful amount of money to do a gangbang? Were people just like trying to get you to do it?
Insane amounts of money.
Oh my God. Okay. So, and how many companies were coming at you trying to get the Tori Black?
All of them.
I'm sure.
And I will actually say my last contract was the more recent one, the Vixen one. I had another contract with them right before COVID, and I actually did sign on for it. I signed on for 7, and I had agreed to it. And in the middle of my contract, I had a full panic attack, and we didn't even have it on the schedule. We were just talking about potential people. I had a full panic attack, and I went to Vixen and I said, I know I promised this to you, but I can't do it. And I can guarantee that it's never going to be given to anybody else. So, we could either move along and do the rest of the contract, or we could just, say we did great stuff and whatever. I'm happy to sign a non-compete. I'm happy to sign whatever, but I just can't do it. And the thing is it's still sex. So you can't really enforce a contract like that. You could sue me for if I took that to another company and sold that, then you could say breach of contract.
Yeah.
But if I just say I don't want to do it, it's really hard. It's really hard to take that and argue that in court. But I had pure. I mean, mine was pure. It wasn't that I was trying to give it to someone else. And I think that Vixen at the time was really would have been a good place to put it. But I just, at the end of the day, I realized that I was doing exactly what I had always said I wouldn't do. And I was being pressured into something that I didn't want to do.
Right. Yeah.
And the closer that we got, I was like not sleeping at night thinking about the potential of this happening. And that's huge. Like, why would no amount of money in the world is worth that.
Yeah, for sure. And like, that's the thing. I think that some people do cross that line and then that's why they have regret, right? I mean, it's not like everyone in the adult industry regrets what they did, but a lot of people did shit, or even on OnlyFans, like they do shit and they're like, fuck, I did this for the money and not for me. And so that's a perfect example of that. And fuck, I mean, that's awesome that you told that story. I mean, now that's another piece of your legacy. I mean, you really did stick up for yourself, and you can tell in the stuff you did do, and you didn't do a gangbang, but you did do, I think, at least 2 DP scenes, right?
Yeah, I did only 2.
Okay.
And they were absolutely incredible, but they were really intense. It's a really intense thing. And I didn't want it to be just any time with just anyone. And so the limit was more for my sanity. Like, you know, a lot of people, you've already done it. Like, what's the hold up now? And I said,
what's the hold up?
I don't want it to take away from how intense it is and how big it was for me. And I feel like, you know, that's exactly what happens is you start to lose the sensation. You start to lose the whatever when you just drill it into the ground, pun intended.
Yeah, and for the uninitiated, DP, in case you're here, you know what that means. It's double penetration. It's one guy in the ass, one guy in the pussy at the same time. So sometimes we got to define it, you know, just in case.
So that's the on-camera version.
Sure.
And the off-camera female version is that you actually can't move as a woman, because if you move your pelvis at all, you're going to pop somebody out. They're going to lose their stroke. You're just going to make it awkward and like clumsy. So as a woman, as a performer, you have to submit. Sorry, you have to submit.
So email to try to get you to do a gangbang.
Right. Hey, are you ready yet? No, you have to submit in a different kind of way. And so I feel like as a performer, especially one that I am very active and aggressive in my scenes, not in a way that I'm necessarily dominant all the time, but I'm not a dead fish. She doesn't lay around and do nothing. So I think that in a DP, you have to trust your co-star, and you have to trust your own body, because, you know, you're going into the behind, right? And not only that, which you already have to prep for, but now you're putting pressure on your bowels from 2 directions. So you're laying there thinking about a million things, right? And I think that, you know, the sensation on top of all of that, it feels incredible. It's an incredible stimulation. But I think there's so many more elements to it. It's a very overwhelming experience. So when I got to the end of my scene, I was so collapsed. I was just mentally, physically, emotionally just numb, drained. And it's not like I wouldn't repeat it again. I just don't want to repeat it so many times that it loses that and becomes just a thing to do. You know what I mean?
No, yeah. And I think that's what's so brilliant about your moves and how you have sex, right? Because that at the end of that scene, you can tell that you're like, and people are like, gee, you know, come drunk and dick drunk, whatever. But there's more.
That's my term, by the way. I didn't hear anybody say that before me.
Well, here we are again at the Tori Black effect, right? But like, you can tell, and that's part of what makes that scene so hot, is that at the end you're like, you can see in your eyes, your face, your body, whatever, and there's just not a lot of people that can pull that off. And in that scene, even though you've got everything you just said that was going on in your mind and in your body and your anxieties and all these things, you can tell that to me, that is and that's the scene that when you go around the internet and you look at your most famous scenes, that's like number 1 or 2 always, because, and it's because you didn't do too many of them, but the one you did, man, you scored fucking 100 points in the game on that, because it was so intense. Like, again, how you have sex is so intense, and it is this submissive yet powerful thing. And I mean, what was it like in the moment doing your first, where you're like, oh fuck, I'm doing this, and that led to how excited and like, you know.
So the first one that I did, I don't know which one the internet was more responsive to.
Your first one, I think.
Well, the first one that I did, all the first moments are on camera.
Crazy.
They're all in there. That's the first time I ever had that sensation in my body. That's the first time I ever did that. And I wanted her to roll for all of it. And the reason that I wanted her to roll for all of it is it was actually for the girls. To be honest, it was for the girls. I wanted girls to see that, this is a normal, natural transition. So many times they want to get to the comfortable part and they want to skip over a female's transition. And for me, I have to relax and open, even when it comes to vaginal sex. If he's really big, I have to relax and open. Let's just say he's not really big, but I'm not really in the mood. Sometimes there's like a moment that you have to warm me up, right? Yeah. And I feel like porn cuts through all of a female's transition points, right? And so how is that fair to my female fan base out there to skip over all of the things that kind of make us a woman? We are naturally very emotionally driven, and those emotions need to be cared for and taken care of. And part of sex is to say, relax into me. I've got your heart. Let me have your body. And the only way that you get to orgasm, the only way that you get to experience that with your partner is to see that whole process, not just here's my body, right?
Right.
And so the reason I really wanted her to have that on camera was for my ladies out there. And I think that back then, especially, I think we started the trend of the interview before and after. I don't think that people were doing that. And watching what did I look like going into it and what did I look like coming out of it? And I think that was the coolest part for me. But the feeling inside my body was very much, okay. So I have ADHD. And so I have what I call, my sister actually coined it. We say it's brain bees, where you just have bees buzzing around in your brain, right? And I don't think that people outside of ADHD can not understand that. People have brain bees. So when I go to work and I'm a perfectionist and my brain bees are buzzing. I've got so many things that I'm thinking about. And I will tell you, the DP was one of the quickest transitions for me out of my brain and into my body.
Wow.
There was so much that my body was having to handle and process in a good way, like in a positive way, that my brain had to vacate. You got to go. You got to go. We're going to handle this. We got this. And I think that I had the best partners, and they were so considerate and caring, and they wanted me to come. They wanted me to feel good. And I knew that through and through. They wanted to take from me because they knew I wanted to give. They didn't take from me because that was their fetish. They're like, I know you have it in there. I know you want to enjoy this. I know you want to come, and I'm going to take it from you, which is a very different it's like a true dominant stance. The submissive is the real person in control. The dominant doesn't take more than the submissive wants to give. Mm-hmm. But it takes a certain kind of man to know that he has the power to be dominant, but the desire to let you still be in the lead, it sounds strange, but that's exactly what a true dominant is.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a wheel. It's like a power transfer back and forth constantly. It's like this living thing. Right. And you're right. Like any dude who because all these fucking dudes claim they're dominant, and that ain't shit. Right. And so it's like, you have to be just as vulnerable in a different way to be strong as a man. Right. And I had to learn that. And I hope other people do. They won't, but whatever. And
they won't.
You're totally right. It's a power transfer back. It's a give and take. And that's the best sex ever. I mean, what did you take from that first DP that you took to the second one?
I think that what carried me from the first to the second was essentially, I believe that you have to try everything twice in order to decide whether or not you really love it. So I'm a spice food addict. Yeah. I love spicy food. And I think the only way I became a spicy person or tested my boundaries was to do just that. You have to try it more than once, because the first time you're in so much shock and your body is processing in one way. And the second time you're a little more settled and you know what to expect a little bit more. There's still a ton of excitement, of course, but I feel like you have to try everything twice. And then I think after that, people were so gung-ho about going from that to gangbang. I was like, you guys, I've only done 2 DPs. Do you know how many more I could do right now? But nobody pushed me in that direction. And DPs in real life, from what I've heard, because I've never done it, they don't always go as smoothly as they do on set, because it's really more about the guys' chemistry with each other, because they're the ones doing all the work. So even though I might be sitting there enjoying myself, the guys have to be able to flow together. That's a really big deal. And I think it's hard to find 2 guys outside unless you're hiring professionals. It's just, from what I've heard, it doesn't go quite as smooth. Yeah. So I never attempted.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure that there's been many couches ruined and relationships ruined in the real life doing DP. Jesus Christ. Can
you imagine you have 2 guys that don't have the same stroke?
Yeah. It would
don't have the same rhythm.
It would get pretty fucking sloppy pretty quick.
I've actually heard about broken penises that way.
Oh yeah, sure. I'm sure. Especially the different positions. It's like, how could you not break a penis if you're not being?
If the girl moves around too much, that's when the guy's at risk. And so if you're going to be outside, you got to be really careful as another dude, or even the chick. You got to be careful. And here we go with the freaking lawn guys again. I told you it was going to happen.
It's all right.
Hopefully they're not too loud.
If it sounds like a plane is landing on top of Tori Black's house, then it's fine. You guys we'll get through it.
Lawnmowers, I'm telling you guys. They have such a nice big open space that it just echoes.
Yeah. No. You sound great, and my editor Stephanie will fucking kick ass.
You deserve a raise.
Yeah, we will get. We are working on giving her a raise too. So that's
we're gonna give you a bonus for this one.
Tori Black said it. It's got to happen. Okay, so spicy food addict. Definitively, can you tell me what your favorite hot sauce is?
Oh, absolutely not. No. I can tell you, I don't have a favorite hot sauce because I literally buy a new different bottle every time.
Give me like a top 3. Tori Black's favorite top 3 hot sauces. No pressure or anything.
I literally buy a new bottle every time. I don't even remember their names.
So like sriracha, are we past that? Are you
no, I like sriracha. It's kind of a basic staple, right?
Sure.
But I have all the basic staples. I have Taco Bell. I like Taco Bell mild sauce. Okay. I will fight for this. I like Taco Bell mild sauce more than I like any of the rest, only because its flavor profile is better.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I will eat the Diablo. It doesn't scare me. It doesn't hurt me.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know. The sensation it's super one note. It's boring.
For sure.
But I literally have the Hot Ones challenge in my pantry.
See, I believe you. Yeah, I mean,
I have it, and I'm waiting for my boyfriend. I have all my vegan wings waiting, and I'm like, we're doing I want to do it on my own channel. I want to sit there because I want to laugh at him, to be honest, because I know I can outspice him.
Dude, that'd be so cool. You should totally do that and have people come on and do it with you. I'm
gonna do my own at-home Hot Ones challenge.
Yeah, that'd be fucking so fun.
We did the 1 chip challenge.
Oh, really? How'd you do?
I didn't cry. By the time we got to 10 minutes, we're like, I don't know why they do 10 minutes, because you pass the 5-minute mark and you're good to go.
Right.
Or maybe it was just us. Maybe we're insane. But as soon as we hit 5 minutes, like getting to 10 was not a challenge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was dissipating already.
Yeah. Pain is life, right? You got to fucking.
I mean, my second anal scene was Lexington Steel.
Oh yeah, see, so you can have yeah. Okay, you have this giant dick in your ass, but you have a baby's arm or a full-grown person's arm in your asshole. What's a 1 chip challenge at that point?
So it's actually a funny story on how I became the Spice Queen.
Okay.
My dad is old school AF and really, really, we're just going to say country.
Okay.
It's country.
Oh, boy.
Okay. Very blue collar. Okay. And he was expecting to have boys. Shocker, shocker. No blue collar guy ever plans on I have an older sister and then me.
Yeah.
And so his punishment, he didn't really know how to punish because he was very used to corporal punishment when he was growing up. And then he turns around and he has girls, and in his mind, he's old school. So he's like, I don't really want to spank her.
Yeah. Yeah.
So instead, he put hot sauce on my tongue.
Oh, shit. Okay.
I was bad all the time.
So that's how we get there. That's
how we got there.
That's awesome.
Every time I was a bad kid, he was like, "You're going to hold hot sauce in your mouth." And I was like,
okay.
All right.
Thanks, Dad. Okay, you mentioned this Lexington Steel thing. So like, so there's a couple scenes, and we can go through these. There's the Lexington Steel scene. There's the Adria Fox scene. You and Adria Fox.
Ooh, that was a good one.
There's the Lana Rhodes and you scene, and then there's your first DP. And those are like the 4 or 5 that I always see people freaking.
I'm shocked right now. I did not hear Rocco Siffredi come out of your mouth. Like, how is that not one of the top ones?
Well, it's probably there on some lists. It's just the ones I saw or these scenes or whatever.
People are obsessed because I only shot with him one time. He shot me many other times.
Right.
I only worked with him once, and let me tell you.
So what did you do in that scene, and why was it so fucking crazy hot?
The Rocco one?
Yeah.
It was, I think, my third anal. I went from Lexington Steel to Rocco Siffredi. Yeah, we took it easy, you know. We went straight into the deep end.
Yeah,
is what we did.
Yeah.
I think that it was really intense because he is. I'm not going to speak for him, but what I felt was he was the same sort of feeler as I am. He's emotionally there. Mm-hmm. He is responding to the energy that you give. It is not only a physical transaction for him. There is it's a lot deeper. And so if you tap into that side of him, which I think that I did, you get a really intense person coming at you. And it's so funny because off camera, probably one of the most humble, gentle, gracious people I've met, especially somebody with the reputation of being, you know, he is the dom of doms, right? And so people expect him to be not nice or demanding. He's done things that some people consider demeaning to women, but we don't know what those women said in the moment. So it's really hard. It's really hard to judge him based off of anything other than my interactions with him. Mm-hmm. And he knew that I was new to anal. And he took me to the side and was like, as long as you would like for us to practice and warm up, we can have as much time as you'd like, right? And then once he knew that I was ready and good to go, he let me have it. He let me have all of it. I think that I lost one of my eyeballs in my skull at one point. I was pouring sweat profusely. And I think that it was just an energetic exchange. There was so much sexual tension, and it felt like every time we had hit a new peak was on the horizon. Wow. It was like, we can go higher, we can go harder. It was just like boom, 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 like one-upping each other the whole time. We shot for like 5 hours. I had to stuff preparation H up my behind afterward not because I had hemorrhoids, but because my insides were so swollen from so many hours of anal sex. I would take, the little square ice cubes?
I do.
I'd wrap them in cling wrap and literally stuff them, not up and in, but like tuck them in between my cheeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a whole week of recovery after that. And I would not undo it at all. I don't regret any of it. Really intense. My body, it was like an athlete running an endurance race. You don't regret it after, but you definitely feel the pain.
Yeah. And so did you have like an explosive orgasm in that scene? And what was
like
it?
20.
Were they?
I was like, where am I? Where am I? I don't know what life is. I was on a different planet.
Were they vaginal, anal, both orgasms?
Both.
Yeah,
both.
That's crazy.
I don't even know how many different types I have because even just my vaginal orgasm, depending on what kind of mood I'm in,
Sure.
or it changes. It feels different. I have so many different kinds.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Abnormal.
No, well, I mean, you're Tori Black. I mean, come on.
But I can come every 30 seconds.
Really? Okay. And you found this out how early in life?
I can't say.
Okay. Yeah. If it's that early, we're not touching it.
But I will say it was a girlfriend who was telling me that I was masturbating wrong.
Really?
And so she showed me how to do it right.
Wow.
And then it was like light bulb.
Like, holy shit.
Oh.
Yeah. Every 30 seconds. That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My thing is this. Some guys, this is so funny. Some guys will want to talk shit because I can only ride dick for so long. And I said, listen, I could ride your dick until the cows come home if I wasn't orgasming at the same time. So if you want me to stop coming, I could ride you all night.
Right.
But if I'm orgasming, especially every 30 seconds, can you imagine still riding dick after 10 orgasms? My legs are like.
Yeah. See, you're solving so many mysteries about like your performance in whatever. And I'm so glad that we're doing this on Sex Party, because like what a fucking revelation episode this is, because now people will watch those scenes. And guys, do not run. Don't stop this interview and go fucking watch the scenes. Wait till the interview's over, then go watch the scenes. Jesus. Yeah. Don't leave.
Give it a minute. Watch to the end.
Yeah, we're getting to the fucking good part.
Patience is a virtue.
You know, that Adria Fox scene, everybody talk, like, your guys' fucking souls were coming out of each other's bodies and trying to just what the hell? Like, just tell us a little bit about that scene, because I've never seen a scene like that in porn ever.
I don't even know if there's much to be said about anything other than we were meant to fuck like that.
And that you can so tell.
I don't think I could fuck her any other way. I don't think that I have had any female in particular, have such similar matched energies as me.
Yeah.
There's plenty of girls that I love to have sex with, for sure. But to get that particular type of scene, I needed someone who had a lot of similar energies.
Right.
And the way that we responded to one another, the way that we flowed together, was like we were reading each other's minds the whole time and still coming all over the place. And the craziest part was she was late for a flight and the director was not listening to boundaries. And so I looked at her in the beginning of the scene and I was like, I'm going to fuck the shit out of you. And she's not going to be able to cut because it's going to be so good. We're just going to fuck the shit out of each other, which means less cuts, less changes, whatever. She better keep the fuck up. And That's exactly what happened.
You got her on that flight.
Immediately, all full makeup, full sweat, left. Had to go straight to the airport.
Damn.
I hope she had wipes in her car. Because I was like, whole bath in the car, anyone?
Yeah, no shit, right?
It was fantastic.
Yeah. You can tell. And then the other one people talk about all the time, that's another girl is you and Lana Rhoades. There's some energy going back and forth there. I mean, what do you remember like what that scene was like to shoot?
Yeah, it's quite different. So the difference between the Lana Rhoades scene and the Adria Fox scene is night and day to me.
Sure.
Lana Rhoades was much more of an elegant, and Adria Fox was much more of a raw, is the word that I would use.
Yeah.
So while I think that Lana was very early in her career, she still was natural. Her body was natural. And I think that she was faced with a lot of really intense attraction coming from everywhere really quick. She's beautiful, right? And she was so young, and I felt that she was overwhelmed when she came to set. Not necessarily by me, but just maybe I'm overstepping, but maybe like life in general. And so my approach to her as another female, she brought out a soft side of me. So I think that depending on what kind of energy you like to watch or engage with, you're seeing a huge variety there. You're going to see an entirely different version of my lesbian with Lana Rhoades.
Totally.
And I think that there's a place for both. I don't think that one was not as intense as the other. I think that it was just, I I wanted to take care of her. And I kind of felt protective of her. I wanted to make her feel good, but that was kind of my energy going into it. And maybe I didn't read her right. I can't speak for her, but I think that that's what translated in the scene was very soft. And, she was very engaged while being a little more reserved. I wouldn't say that she was holding back. I just don't think that it was that everyone in porn was so overdone for so long, where you had to talk every second of every movie. And it was just abnormal. It was really strange.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
And I think that she and I just, we found a way to be a little bit more reserved without losing any of the intensity.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely different, and it's totally night and day between the Adria Fox and the Lana Rhoades. I think that's what people are picking. Yeah, people are picking up on that.
That's why people like it.
Exactly. Yeah.
You have the range.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to ask you about that. So really, we're gonna it doesn't have to be long. I mean, as long as you want. You're Tori Black. If this is your episode, you can fucking take as long as you want. Whatever. We're gonna get in the sex party time machine, which is a DeLorean. It's purple. It's a purple DeLorean. I just made that up. So I like it. We're going back in time, and I want to ask you the question you've probably been. I'm Doc, and you're Marty, and you've been asked this question a million times, but you can tell it how you want to tell it. How did you get involved in the adult industry? Because I think a brief little origin story would be cool to have you from your mouth to the audience.
Well, I didn't want to be home in the summer in between college. So I was done with a semester and waiting for the next to start. And I did not want to be at home with my parents. I was staying in dorms at the time. So I was like, no, I'm not going back home. I want my own money. And I actually wanted to be a dancer. So I was looking for go-go dancing positions, but I was under 21. And in Washington State, where I was, you can't go-go dance at a club with alcohol unless you're over 21. Ugh. And I was on Craigslist looking for other positions that might be like go-go dancing-ish. Like, can I be a belly dancer at a themed restaurant? And porn popped up. And I started laughing because I had already been taking naked pictures of myself for a long time. I had already put out a video to certain people that is very good that it's buried. It's good that it's gone. But I'd already kind of dabbled. And I was like, fuck it. Let me just send in some pictures and see what they say. Immediately, I will buy you a ticket right now. You will have a place to stay immediately when you get here. We are hiring you. And I was like, I don't know, maybe not. And then I wasn't done with, I wasn't totally finished with my semester. And so I was at a party and not underage drinking at all.
We wouldn't do that.
And might have brought up the idea to some people who very vehemently said I need to do it. And so there I am, packing all my things into a suitcase, all of my belongings, literally all of my belongings into a suitcase and flying to Florida. And I had every intention of going back to college and never did.
And how many?
Where's my Craigslist?
Yeah, that's fucking amazing. How many years were you active the first run? Because we know what happens in, I think, maybe 2012 or something. So how many years? You were 18 when you got in?
18, about to turn 19. Okay. So I did a couple scenes at 18, and then LA was the big push, and I turned 19 on the way from Florida to LA.
Yeah.
I had like a pit stop where I did a whole bunch of ATV riding and had my birthday, and then showed up to my agent's office covered in bruises, maybe from crashing my ATV.
Oh, Jesus. They're like, oh, what's that about? Yeah.
No, I got a response like, models aren't allowed to engage in certain behaviors, and this is why.
They told that to James Dean, too, and look how that turned out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We listen very well. We're a group of great listeners.
Well, I actually meant James Dean, the actor, not the porn star. I just remembered that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that too.
Okay, and then so you're active for like
it was about 3.5 years.
Okay, and then at that
That
point,
500 scene thing happened in 3.5 years.
wow, holy fucking shit!
While I was traveling and doing shows and dancing.
Oh yeah.
I was working 7 days a week.
Right. Oh my god.
So people are like, "Oh, you lost a bunch of weight." I'm like, "Oh, I wonder how that happened. I didn't have 2 seconds to sit down. My entire day job was burning calories everywhere."
For real, yeah, and
all the
fucking
time.
sweating nonstop. Fucking
Yeah, and then as soon as I started to slow down, I felt like my natural body filled out a little more. And then, of course, you get, "Why'd you put on so much weight?" I'm like, I didn't put on weight. I just found my body that I lost because I was so emaciated from working all the time.
People can just shut the fuck up.
They really can.
Yeah. So then the decision to retire, you retire. What was that decision based on?
Well, I had kids,
Okay.
and I was still finding my mind, I guess,
Sure.
about how I was going to do both, be Tori Black and mom. And that's been an ongoing challenge. And there were definite moments where instead of feeling like the confident person that I had grown into, I felt very embarrassed because I felt like I needed to be ashamed about my past. And I went through all the emotions. I went through so many different ideas and feelings about what it was going to be like once my kids found out. And I think it took me a really long time to stop being embarrassed and allow myself to have both lives. And I guess that is when I started to say, you could maybe go back. And it's going to be on my terms, of course, but you don't need to live in the shadows because you're embarrassed. The other part of it, though, was I was a little worried. I know this might sound weird, but I didn't want to become any more famous than I already was. Because living in LA, people are horrible. They do not give you any privacy at all. And I had already been approached while carrying my kids, and I had a really, really hard time with that. I didn't want anybody coming up to me saying anything inappropriate. People are already so obnoxious that I was like, you can't do that in front of my kids. I'm going to catch a case real fast. Somebody's going to get hit in the face. I don't play when it comes to my kids. I'm like, no. So I think that it was a combination of not knowing who I was anymore, refining myself, and also trying to figure out how to make sure that everyone stayed safe. And so I think that as I've gotten more comfortable and figured out my own way of doing things, to feel comfortable and confident in our security and safety and emotional well-being is being looked after, that gave me the permission to kind of come back a little bit.
Yeah.
In my own way.
Well, you touched on it, and I think it's fucking beautiful that you did. There are some moms listening to this or watching this that want to do a doll or OnlyFans or whatever, but they're worried that, oh, my kids and all these people at the soccer thing are looking at me funny or whatever. Like, can you just take a minute? Again, you're Tori Black, take as long as you want. We never cut you off. But can you talk about like how you became okay with it, in the sense that maybe it would give someone else some, make them feel better about it?
100%. I think this is a really huge thing. And I don't think that it only applies to people who want to shoot for OnlyFans. I think that women in general have been put into lots of different boxes. I'm not saying that men have not. So this is not a men versus women thing. The only experience that I can share is a female experience. So I want to preface that before I start talking about the female experience. It is not an either or. I'm just talking about mine. So I feel like women have been put into all sorts of boxes. Whether you're pretty, you're not pretty, you're fat, you're skinny, you're a mom, you're not a mom, you literally cannot do it right. There's going to be someone who's going to say something. So the first thing first is, fuck everybody. Second thing is, you have to look at yourself in the mirror every day. And if you sit there and you look at yourself and you have things that you want to fix them. And if you look in the mirror and you have things from your past that you want to forgive yourself for, then you need to work on forgiving yourself. You do not owe anybody explanation for absolutely anything. And that is so simple and so hard to actually digest. And so I got to the point where if all those things exist, and I want those things to exist for my children, I want my kids to be able to look at themselves in the mirror, making whatever decisions they would have made, whether they like the decisions they made or don't, and still have love for themselves. And the only way that I can teach them that is to do the same thing for myself. And that was what got me through. If you sit there and you want your kid to be the polar opposite of you, my question is, why haven't you addressed your own relationship with yourself in the beginning? What is so, like, if I were to sit here and say, I hope they never get into porn, obviously the issue is with how I'm looking at myself. It has nothing to do with them, nor is it fair to them. They are separate people. They have a different experience. I don't get to decide where they end up or where they don't. What I do want to impress upon them is their value and their ability to be free on this planet. There are certain, I laugh with the kids all the time. I said, there are certain things that you don't get to choose when you live in my house. You have to wipe your ass. We're going to do that. And you have to wash your dishes, and we need to have respect for one another. Do you have to like the same kind of music I like? No. Do you have to dress a certain way? No. Do you have to be smiley and happy to see everyone all the time? No. So there's certain rules that you always have to follow, and the rest is for you to decide. You get to pick what your boundaries are. You get to choose what kind of person you are on this planet and for yourself. And the only way that I can teach that is to live it. So I know it's a lot of concepts all in a small amount of time.
No, that's what we do here.
Right. But I think it's so important that whatever fear you have based on mistakes or decisions that you have made in the past, and how that relates to your children, I urge you to take the children out for a second and just focus on forgiving yourself and realizing that we're all on this planet in a journey, making decisions, some good, some bad, or maybe we shouldn't even say good or bad, but maybe they're just decisions that we made that we wouldn't make today, but we made the other day, and now we changed our minds. So I think that we just need to appreciate ourselves much more and take those little stupid boxes that we're supposed to be in and just throw them out the fucking window, because they don't serve anybody at all. No. And my kids, well, my son, he's older. He does know who I am. And we've had that conversation. And the fears that I held onto for so long were entirely dismantled. My son has just the most beautiful heart. And there was never a moment of judgment or discrediting that I thought might happen. It was entirely the opposite. He's just filled with so much love. And I can only say that I think that raising him in the way that I did, knowing that I've had to forgive myself, I think that he's taken some of my energy in that regard and found that love is more important, and that we don't need to sit around and judge one another. It's more important that we just understand we all have our own journey on this planet. And it was such a delight. And so maybe for the women out there that might be listening, or, I mean, whether or not you want to perform on camera, if there's something that you're ashamed of from your past, deal with that with yourself and realize that your kids don't have to have that same feeling about your decisions from before. They could look at it differently, and they're going to base how they look at your old decisions based on how you look at your old decisions.
Fuck, that is so awesome, man. Oh my God, dude, that was fucking awesome. That was insanely, I mean, and people out there are going to fucking really love that. And they need to hear it, and who better to hear it from than the GOAT, right? And so I think, and that's fucking beautiful. Congratulations. And it sounds like he had a fucking good mom that raised him with good values. So fucking, again, I
am not perfect by any means, but I will tell you
who
that.
Is?
And who is?
Yeah.
But I think that if you lead with, hey, we're all going to fuck up. And so might as well learn how to appreciate ourselves in the middle of being a hot mess.
Sure.
You know, how else do you teach people, you know, to forgive and appreciate? You have to say, I'm gonna fuck up.
Right.
I'm not gonna be perfect. And, you know, it's taken a lot of time, and I will totally admit, I used to be ashamed, but all of us are in therapy. We're in individual therapy. We're in therapy together. We go from all, because it's me and my 2 children. We sometimes it's all 3 of us. We have our individual sessions, and it's just the best thing. We struggle all the time like normal people, but I think the foundation is built on so much love that we can get through anything. And I encourage counseling for any kind of family, but especially if you're struggling with something like your own history, you want to address that sooner rather than later, because your kids are going to feed off that energy.
Yeah.
And so I think why not have somebody extra that you can talk to, especially somebody outside the family that you can't pass you're not saying, oh, you're only saying that because you're my uncle, you know?
Yeah.
So I highly recommend therapy for everyone.
Yeah,
you know?
no, Jesus.
I just think it's good.
Yeah, no, it's super good. Yeah, I mean, and I can't speak from your perspective, but like I can speak from mine. Therapy is great.
I don't know why there's such a stigma. Like my daughter and I actually had that conversation. She got really embarrassed because she couldn't attend something because we had therapy one day, and she didn't want to tell her friends about it. So she was trying to find a lie to get out of going to this event. And so we had to sit down and have a conversation. And I was like, what's wrong with therapy? What's wrong with, you know, having someone that you can talk to? She was like, well, it just means something's wrong with me. I said, no, it means somebody loves you and they want to give you extra support. Yeah. That's what it means.
Yeah, no, what a fucking awesome answer. I mean, yeah, I mean, a lot of things. I mean, this whole episode, it's like, you know, there's a lot of things that need to be destigmatized. And then yet there's people that push against it. And yet here we are having this conversation that we've normalized a lot just in this conversation, I feel like. So, you know, maybe in a couple years after the world explodes, they'll find this recording and be like, we were so wrong about how we were doing. But what, you know, that being said, a couple more, like, you know, we don't have to get through them quick, but we will. It's a couple things I want to touch on, right? Then I want to play a short little game, and then you can leave the party. Because I know you're busy, right? But
I got my bam. I got to take care of. It's actually early dismissal today.
Yeah. Okay. So I know you're a writer. Okay. So I just want to ask you very quickly, and you can be coy or you can say I'm not, whatever. When is the book coming, and are we going to talk to Netflix about turning that into a series?
So I actually have a lot of book written, but a lot of it is really, really vulnerable. And as vulnerable as I've been, sure, I feel like my memoir is like a journal. And so while I feel like sharing my story might be really beneficial because a lot of people don't tap into their vulnerability quite like maybe I have, it's like another level for me. Like, sure, okay, am I ready to go that far? But I think maybe another couple of years. Okay. Maybe another couple of years. And as far as turning it into a documentary or a movie, it would be like a horror movie. Some parts would be really exciting, and then other parts would be like, not made for TV.
Yeah, well.
I think that we would have to be really specific about, you know, if we were taking that and going to turn it over. But I do have a bunch of poetry, actually, that I like to write. And I had considered... I think that it would be really cool. I do poetry and short stories, and I do a lot of erotic stuff. And I was like, what if I did audiobooks that were my erotic novels? I think I would book shit up.
Yeah. I mean, even like just doing ASMR, I think people would be like, take my money, please take all of our money or whatever.
Listen, I started ASMR, okay? You didn't know it was that before. That's me.
Yeah, surprise.
I just like to hear you breathe.
Exactly. Right. Okay. Well, when you do write the book, will you come back and fucking talk to me? Because I would love to fucking.
I will.
Okay.
I'll be back.
Next, what is going on your OnlyFans? Are you super active? What can people expect? Because I want to plug that, obviously.
Yeah, I am always on my OnlyFans. It's you know, that's where I'm at right now, because of the fact that I have so much independence and freedom in what I shoot and when I shoot. And it just fits my mom schedule, honestly, a lot better than anything else.
Sure.
So, yeah, definitely find me there. I'm updating as much as I can. I try and shoot 3 times a week. I actually just made new t-shirts. Nice. And I've never had t-shirts before. It says Black Magic, and it's me with a little bunny headband on.
Nice.
Black ice bunny headband. Because I'm the Black Magic Show. Like that?
Yeah, we love that. See, you're a master of branding too. There is a newcomer in the adult industry. Her name is Cece Rose. She's new. She's kind of in and out of it. There's been a lot of comparisons, like not the way she looks, but the way that she, like, her energy, the way she goes about having sex, you know, like, and a lot of people are saying, oh, like Tori Black must be, even she shared something like, I can't believe someone would even put me in the same sentence as Tori Black or whatever, something like that. Have you heard of Cece Rose? Would you ever collab with her?
I have not, but don't take offense to that, Cece, if you're watching this, because I don't know anybody. I am literally living on an island with my family, performing by myself on my OnlyFans.
Sure.
So don't take offense to that.
Yeah.
As far as collaborating, reach out to me. Maybe we can set something up. Maybe we can have a conversation. But I mean, I'm sure that you're enjoying your time in the industry. If you're giving my energy, you're definitely you're having some fun. So that's good. I'm happy for that.
Yeah, no, that's fucking amazing. You guys heard it here first. Do you think that you will ever like do an AI thing? Because a lot of adult stars are doing like AI cloning. Like, would you think you'd ever give your life?
So I actually did. I'm a hologram. They did all the points on my whole body, and I think they had like a couple hundred cameras on me, and they did a VR version of me. So I know that's not the same tech as we're targeting,
sure.
But I guess I already went into thinking about what people could create if I became AI, because a lot of the questions were, what if they want your hologram to do something that you wouldn't do? Mm-hmm. How would you feel about that? If a replica, and I was like, I wouldn't feel anything. It is a replica. Mm-hmm. But AI is a little tricky only because I don't think the laws have caught up to protect people from their AI generated version.
Yeah.
And so I don't know about the security. I don't know if you could, there's a lot of like that sort of question that I would get into.
Sure.
As far as like what someone could make me say or make me do, I wouldn't care less about, because it's not me.
Yeah.
So, so someone was like, what if they're doing obscene acts? I'm like, it's not me. It's not a real person. I don't feel anything.
Right.
But when it comes to the legality, that makes me a little nervous. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of adult stars have been on my show, and they're like, "Oh, I'm doing this AI thing," so I would definitely wanted to ask that.
I might pick somebody's brain then. If you tell me somebody who's doing it, I might be like, "Hey, how are you protected?"
Yeah. I mean, that's something that we haven't even really got to. You're right. Like, as a culture, we're not even thinking.
Yeah, so many of the laws are not up to date on the tech that's out right now. I don't know if you saw the whole thing with Scarlett Johansson and her voice being used. Yeah. So it's kind of like a tricky little area right now. So I guess that would be my first concern.
Okay. Final question. Okay. And you can answer this however you want. And then we're going to do a quick game, and then I'll put you in the exit line to get out of the party. Right. Okay. How does it feel to be Tori Black, right? And like, again, I know you're not going to give me some LeBron James bullshit at all, but you are the greatest of all time. You are a fucking trendsetter, an innovator. You have done so much for the adult industry and also for pop culture. You redefined, being vulnerable in sex and still being powerful. You redefined how to take a facial. I mean, if facials were a thing, but then you came along and made it this like huge thing, right? Everywhere we've gone in this interview, you had been there first in terms of, I did that. I mentioned AI, you were a hologram. I mentioned this, you did that. So how does that feel truly? And get whatever you answer, however you want. How does it really truly feel to be Tori Black? And do you know that you're in that conversation at least?
It's very surreal. And no, I would say that I am not attached to the way that I'm being perceived, as far as like my legacy or the influence that I've left behind. I knew inside the industry how people looked at me. So, people I've worked with, other girls, even people behind the cameras. I knew that part because I was intimately involved with all these people.
Sure.
But I think that I don't really recognize the tail I'm leaving behind. I think that it's a very powerful thing to have influence. And I'm really grateful that should I be leaving the legacy that you're saying, it sounds to me like it goes in line with what I would actually choose to leave behind.
Awesome.
And I don't think that everyone has that opportunity, especially with the internet being the internet right now.
Yeah.
I think that people can have really, really good intentions and they go really sideways really fast because, people make one silly comment or two silly comments and all of a sudden, you have some tarnishing of your name or your brand. And I think that it's a really tricky place to be right now. And not only that, but I've gone through so many transitions as a woman in front of the camera and behind the camera. And I just feel like if this is where I leave you, I'm happy with it. I feel like it's a good impression. And I do really appreciate that my name is tied in with a lot of empowering concepts.
Fuck
I do
yeah.
really like that.
Yeah. Well, you deserve it. You fucking worked your ass off. And you did it in a way that like, in a Frank Sinatra way where it's like, look at this shit. I fucking love it. You know what I mean? Like, so, okay, we're going to play this game called The Burner. This is very quickly. We're going to move through them quickly. You do not have to give any follow-up if you don't want to. You answer how you want to. It's
okay.
It's like 10.
Maybe I won't give follow-up just to leave you guessing for next time.
That would be the best. Okay. Name something you wish men would stop doing.
Chewing on clits.
Name something you wish women would stop doing.
Fake orgasms.
Name something you wish you would stop doing.
Scrunching my nose like this.
I think people like that. So, but yeah, okay. Have you ever been to a sex party in real life?
Yes.
Cool. Favorite guilty pleasure does not have to be sexual. It can be fucking candy or something.
Oreos.
Love that.
They're vegan.
Name a person alive or dead. You get to hang out with them, spend time with them, pick their brain. You can have sex with them. I don't know whatever if you want, but like you get to spend time with this person. The catch is after 24 hours, they vanish. Who's the person?
From the planet or from me?
Like you get to hang out with whoever you want, alive or dead, but you only get them for 24 hours.
Eminem.
Love that. Love that. We will be tagging him on that. Backstreet Boys or NSYNC?
Backstreet Boys.
Spice Girls or Pussycat Dolls?
Spice Girls. What? Spice Girls. I'm from '88. Okay, Spice Girls.
Okay. No, people love that answer. Favorite comfort movie or show? What are you putting on to fall asleep to?
Sleepless in Seattle.
Okay, makes sense. Most used app on your phone?
Instagram and Domino's.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Not pizza, the game.
Okay, yeah. Say something. No, we're not gonna. Never mind. We're not gonna do that. Do you have a Finsta, a fake Instagram?
No.
Okay.
I have a personal one that's private, but nobody's found it yet.
Well, they might. Okay. All right. Will you ever? Final question, Tori Black. Will you ever return to mainstream adult porn?
I don't know.
Okay.
I could be. I honestly have asked myself that many times. I don't know.
Okay, Tori Black, thanks for being with me on Sex Party. Thanks for being a fucking legend. Thanks for being the fucking GOAT. Thanks for changing things. Thanks for being you. I mean, like, what the fuck? What a great fucking time I had on this episode. Thanks for doing this. Where can these party going sons of bitches? Where can they find your socials? Where can they find your OnlyFans and anything else you want them to know? Where can they just dump buckets of money on you?
Well, my OnlyFans is official Tori Black, and Instagram, I think they just took me out of jail because all of a sudden I have all this traction that I didn't have before.
Nice.
But it's Tori Black OFCL. It's the one with the blue check mark. That means it's me. And I say that slowly because some people get confused, okay?
No.
You know who you are. And X, it still has me in jail. I do not have a Twitter because they literally will not let me make one. So those are the two places you can find me. I am featuring very, very few and far between. So if you see me in any kind of vicinity that you can make it, definitely do it because I'm not touring very often right now. So come see me dance. I'm going to be in Pittsburgh next month. So you better go find out all the details on my Instagram.
Yeah, fuck yeah. You guys, go to Pittsburgh. Just start planning your road trips now. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You're fucking amazing. I'd love to have you back. We'll chat about it in a second when we disconnect. But thank you so much for being here.
Of course. Thank you so much. I had a great time.
Huge thank you to my guest, Tori Black, the legend, the GOAT herself, for being with me on Sex Party. Make sure you run right now and go follow her on Instagram. Make sure you go over to her OnlyFans and just dump buckets of cash all over her OnlyFans. If you're loving guests like Tori, you want to see Tori again, she will be back at some point in the future, but you're just loving Sex Party and you want to show that love, that appreciation, that desire for more, right? How do you do that? Well, if you're listening to this on platforms like Apple and Spotify, you could leave a rating, you could leave a review. I appreciate that. Those things are wonderful. But what you really want to do is make sure that you're subscribed to the show. That way, you never miss a new episode every single Wednesday, especially if you're subscribed or think you're subscribed on Apple Podcasts. They've been unsubscribing people for some weirdo reason. So what you want to do is go to Apple Podcasts, go to Sex Party with Dustin Rybka, upper right-hand corner. You want to click that button and make sure it says subscribed or resume download or whatever that is. It should be a check mark when you're done. Make sure you see a check mark. If you're watching this on YouTube, I love you. I see you. I appreciate you. If you're watching on YouTube, what's your favorite Tori Black scene? Leave it in the comments. If you're watching on YouTube, what can you do if you're loving this show, right? You could like this video. You could like all the videos. You could leave comments everywhere, all over the place. Those things are wonderful. I appreciate those. I'll respond back, right? But you want to make sure that you are subscribed to the show. Why? You guessed it. So you never miss a new episode every single goddamn Wednesday. As always, I'm available in the DMs on Instagram, and I will see you all right back here next week.
Thanks for listening. The party continues next week. Click subscribe and let's make this a regular thing. Follow the show on Instagram and Twitter @SexPartyFM. Follow Dustin @DustinRybka.